There's a lot going on here in Sri Lanka and definitely around the world. To make sure that you stay updated with the very latest, you're watching Primetime News right here on TV1. Bringing you the news from the news desk, I am Sandro Sapijit. Let's first take a look at your headlines.
Showery conditions to intensify from Tuesday. Certain areas to experience rainfall of 100 millimeters. 10 districts at landslide risk. Red alert issued for Haldummula in Badulla district. 241 families evacuated to safe camps. Results of the scholarship exam to be released within a month and a half, says the Commissioner General of Examinations. Minip Left Bank Development Project declared open. Suspect dead after a scuffle with the police. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the next stage of the conflict is coming.
We start off this evening with your weather. Now, the Met Department has issued a special weather advisory for heavy showers and lightning. Now, according to the advisory, showers or thunder showers may occur at times in most parts of the country until the 20th of October. Now, showers above 100 millimeters are likely in some places. 241 families were directed to safe camps in the Haldummula Divisional Secretariat in the Badulla district after a landslide red alert was issued to the area.
Certain parts of Bandaravilla was inundated owing to the recent heavy showers. The Bandaravilla-Badulla main road was inundated for a short time period. The Bandaravilla market was flooded today, severely inconveniencing the vendors. Four sluice gates of the Dadaroya reservoir were opened today owing to the heavy showers. Water was released from the gates at a speed of 5,000 square feet per second. According to the irrigation department, people living beside the Dadaroya must remain vigilant. Four sluice gates of the Polgola reservoir remain opened. Water is released from the gates at a speed of 7,000 square feet per second. Engineer in charge of the Victoria Reservoir said water capacity of the reservoir has increased to 50.77%. Galle and nearby areas are experiencing heavy showers since this morning. According to our correspondent, roads and many low-lying areas have been inundated.
Many areas are at risk of experiencing landslides due to heavy showers. 84 families were evacuated due to the risk of landslides in Ihale in Koslanda Bandaravilla. They are currently seeking shelter at the Koslanda Sri Ganesha Tamil Vidyalaya. Twenty-three families have been evacuated from Malvana Koslanda. They are currently seeking shelter at the Makamba tea factory in Punagala. Vehicular movement along the Gampola Kadugannava road has been hampered after a mound of earth collapsed onto the road in Mountain Pearl. 2 houses in the area are facing risks of being affected by landslides. A landslide was reported in Kitulmulla along the Hamthana-Galaha road. Only light vehicles are being allowed to travel along the road. A tree fell onto the road near the first post along the Kandy-Hamthana road. News First correspondent reported that there are risk of landslides near Pachakadu in Madadumbara, Kandy. Damages were caused to walls of the houses in the area. 40-year-old woman was injured after a tree fell onto a house in Galle Pulla due to strong winds in the area. A mound of earth collapsed onto houses in the Theresa estate in Bogavan Talava. Damages were caused to several houses. 30 people were directed to safe camps. Train operations along the upcountry railway line was hampered after a rock fell onto the railway track between Idalgashinna and Haputale.
The landslide warning issued to 10 districts was extended once again this afternoon. The warnings were issued to the Badulla, Galle, Hambantota, Kalutara, Kandy, Kegalle, Mathale, Matara, Norelia and Ratnapura districts.
Many provinces in the island are experiencing heavy showers at present. What are the precautions that need to be taken to ensure safety outdoors during strong winds and thunder showers? What measures should be taken to reduce damage from disasters? News First inquired the Met Department regarding the matter. People in mountainous areas should be vigilant of landslides. Those travelling in mountainous areas should be careful about water bodies and streams, including waterfalls and rivers. With heavy showers, these streams can develop into large streams, which can be dangerous. People living in the low-lying areas near rivers should be vigilant of the water levels in the rivers. Regularly pay close attention to the weather forecasts. If you live in areas prone to disasters, always be prepared to evacuate. It is also important to be careful when travelling on roads in mountainous areas, taking measures to minimize lightning accidents. Seeking the assistance of disaster management personnel in case of emergency is also vital. Despite the extreme weather situation, students who sat for the Grade 5 scholarship examination, which began at 9:30 a.m. this morning, made their way. This year's scholarship exam took place at 2,888 examination centres across the island, with a total of 337,596 candidates sitting for the exam. 37,596 students were expected to sit for the examination this year. Students in certain areas in the southern province sat for the exam despite the extreme weather conditions. The southern province experienced heavy rainfall and floods recently. Despite the untimely showers that battered the southern province, students arrived at their respective examination centres with the assistance provided by the Disaster Management Centre, the Sri Lanka Army and area residents. The children were transported to the examination centres using army trucks, support vehicles and boats.
We were ready with 45 boats, 30 small boats, 3 unibuffles and 3 tractors, and in other essential areas we had more tractors and heavy vehicles as well. We were prepared to ensure that examinations continue despite the flood situation.
Meanwhile, despite the showery conditions, children from areas such as Nadukala and Tudava, who were displaced due to the floods, also sat for the scholarship exam today. Students from various parts of the island sat for the scholarship examination despite the adverse weather conditions. Meanwhile, the situation at examination centres in other parts of the island this morning were relatively normal. Students who sat for the exam have this to say.
අපි මේ යුගයේ
We are working on the GCE ordinary level examinations as well. Meanwhile, the evaluation process of the grade 5 scholarship exam answer scripts are also taking place. Alongside that, there are many evaluations going on with regard to other examinations, but this will not interfere the evaluation of the grade 5 scholarship examination answer scripts. We aim to provide the results in 45 days.
We move on to news that has been making headlines throughout the week across the world. Now, as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict enters its 8th day, more than 3,600 people have been killed on both sides. Now, more than 1,300 people were killed in Israel last weekend when Hamas fighters crossed the border to attack civilians and soldiers. The number of people killed in Gaza has climbed above 2,300 as well. Now, 9,714 people have been injured in the conflict, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel has said that the next stage of the conflict is coming. Now, Israel has said that its military will attack the Gaza Strip by land, air and sea.
Israel said it's preparing for the next stage of the war against Hamas that would include an integrated and coordinated attack from the air, sea and land on the Gaza Strip. The statement from the Israeli military didn't specify a time frame. Thousands of Gazans have been fleeing the north of the territory after Israel warned the 1.1 million people to leave ahead of an expected ground invasion. Hospitals are overwhelmed by the flood of injured people and medical workers are treating many on the floor. Meanwhile, Hamas fighters have taken dozens of Israeli civilians and soldiers back to the Gaza Strip after the attack on Israel. According to reports, the Palestinian group has said that it plans to use the captured Israelis to strike a deal for the release of Palestinians in Israel's prisons. Residents of southern Israel were also seen boarding buses for other parts of the country to escape the rocket barrages from the Gaza Strip. US President Joe Biden has spoken to both the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in separate phone calls. He reiterated that the US's unwavering support for Israel and affirmed his support for all efforts to protect civilians. The US also announced it is sending a second aircraft carrier to the region in order to deter hostile actions against Israel. Biden discussed with both leaders US coordination with the UN, Egypt, Jordan, Israel and others in the region to ensure humanitarian supplies reach civilians in Gaza. In his call with Abbas, Biden condemned what he called Hamas's brutal attack on Israel and discussed humanitarian efforts, offering the Palestinian authorities his full support in achieving those. They also discussed U.S. efforts to prevent the conflict from widening and the need to preserve stability in the West Bank. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh is reported to have met Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian in Qatar. The Foreign Minister agreed to continue cooperation with the group to achieve its goals. During their meeting in Qatar's capital Doha, he praised Hamas's attack on Israeli targets a week ago as a historic victory that had dealt a setback to what he said was Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory. Meanwhile, Iran's mission to the UN says that if Israel's war crimes and genocides are not halted immediately, the situation could spiral out of control. In a post on X, the mission wrote that if it happens, the responsibility lies with the UN, the Security Council and the states steering the Council towards a dead end. Russia has asked the United Nations Security Council to vote tomorrow on a draft resolution on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The draft resolution circulated last week calls for an immediate, durable and fully respected humanitarian ceasefire, the secure release of all hostages, and the distribution of humanitarian assistance and the safe evacuation of civilians in need. The World Health Organization has strongly condemned Israel's repeated orders for the evacuation of 22 hospitals, treating more than 2,000 inpatients in northern Gaza. The WHO said that the forced evacuation of patients and health workers will further worsen the current humanitarian and public health catastrophe there.
We move back to news here at home. The Minip Left Bank Development Project was declared open today. After completing the renovation, the Minip Left Bank Canal Rehabilitation Project, which is being implemented under the purview of the Irrigation Department, was declared open today. The project aims at providing water to the Minip farming settlement throughout the year. Renovation of the project included raising the Minip Dam by 3.5 meters. This is with the aim of providing a non-stop water supply to the paddy fields from the small reservoir with a capacity of 1.06 million square feet. With the modification of the entire Minip irrigation system, water will be supplied to 20,000 acres of the paddy fields throughout the year, allowing cultivations to be carried out in 3 cultivation seasons.
We have still not begun repaying the debt. The IMF has conditions such as increasing the water and electricity tariffs. If not, the country situation could worsen. We are heading towards a production economy. We must increase our production. This project was completed with the loans provided by the Asian Development Bank. We will be servicing this debt for the next 40 to 50 years. In light of this, I urge the leaders of the farming community to ensure that the funds invested in projects like this are utilized wisely. To all my beloved farmers, I appeal to your sense of responsibility in making a significant contribution to the national economy of our country.
The Hatton Manifesto of the Jatika Jana Balawegaya was launched today. Now, the event was held under the auspices of the party leader Anurukumara Disanayaka.
The event organized by the Jatika Jana Balawegaya was held in line with the 200th anniversary of the arrival of the people in the hill country with an Indian descent. An 8-step policy declaration aimed at improving the lives of the people in the hill country community was unveiled during the program.
දීර්ඝ කාලයක් මේ පළාත් තුළ තිබෙන්නේ ඡන්ද නෙවෙයි ඡන්ද බැංකු. මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂට වතු කරේ ඡන්ද නැහැ. හැබැයි තොණ්ඩමන්ගේ ඡන්ද බැංකුවක් තියෙනවා. ගාන කීයද? ඇමතිකම් කීයද? ආණ්ඩුකාර දුර.
For a long time, these areas didn't have elections. They had election banks. Mahinda Rajapaksha has no votes from their states in the hill country. But Thondaman has a large voter base. What is the amount? How many ministerial portfolios does he have? Will he get the post of governor? So the power of the individual votes are collected in these voter banks, and the key of that safe is in the hands of the Gambarans or Thondamans. They open safes whenever they want. If you look at the south, you can see the people taking to the streets to chase away the leaders. Today the leaders of the south are scared of the people and rarely face them. They try their best to avoid the people and plan to postpone elections. Yes, Colombo is upset, and so is the southern and north central provinces. In Norelia, they think that the key holders of the safe will provide them with a safe way out. Today, an increasing number of youth are joining the Jatika Jana Balawegaya. An MP in parliament told me that estate workers are still under these leaders. But the people who have escaped that setting stands with you and the Jatika Jana Balawegaya. We believe that the majority of the state workers have begun to think independently. Therefore, we can see that new leaders and candidates are coming forward from the hill country. This historical mistake has continued for more than 200 years, and we intend to change this. This should not just be limited to a mere dream. This can only be done with the cooperation of the hill country population, who should stand up for this change. We request you to end this. Many people have lived their lives unaware with little to no understanding. This can be remedied. We should all unite in our dream for the future of our nation. I would like to conclude by requesting all of you to unite with us to create a bright future for our country.
සහතිකයි රාත්‍රිය කෙටි. ඒ වෙනුවෙන් සිළු දෙනාට එකතු වෙන්න කියලා ආරාධනා කරමින් මම නතර වෙනවා.
The Polgahawela Taruna Balamandalaya of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya was established today. The event was held at the Polgahawela Municipal Council Hall.
Parliamentarians from the Kurunegala district representing the Samagi Jana Balawegaya were present at the occasion.
We have gathered at a time in which serious political decisions are being made. I saw the Election Commission had again requested the funds for the local government elections that were once delayed. There is a court case ongoing. The local government elections could take place in the future. Whatever election it will be, we have to be prepared to make sure that the Samagi Jana Balawege wins. If there is a presidential election, we must get 7 million votes. But if that does not happen, the person who gets the most amount of votes will be elected as the president as per our constitution. Therefore, the Samagi Jana Balawege can go there. Only the Samagi Jana Balawege possesses confirmed votes. There are young people here, and I want to emphasize that once again, just like in 2019, you are tricked by racial and religious baits. I must say that those who are coming up again lacks experience and belongs to the faction that caused turmoil in the country. If you look at our history, you will see that there is no party better than the Samagi Jana Balawege led by Sajith Premadasa to lead the nation out of the prevailing situation.
State Minister of Technology Kanaka Herath says that the Cyber Security Act will be established this year. Parliament has approved the Personal Data Protection Act. It will be enacted this month. We are taking steps to establish the Cyber Security Act this year. Multiple accusations are being made without proper investigations. That must change. Activities must be carried out without disrupting anyone's political or democratic agendas.
A discussion on the anti-terrorism bill and the implications of the online safety bill took place between civil organizations and the leader of the Democratic Left Front, Vasudeva Nanakara. Representatives of the Association of Young Journalists, Ceylon Teachers Union and the Electricity Users Association participated in the meeting.
අපි මේ 52ටම විරුද්ධ වී යුතුයි. අපි හැබැයි ජනතාවගේ විරෝධය
We must resist both of these bills. However, it's crucial to recognize that we might not have legal avenues available to us, as the legal system ultimately upholds the state's authority. We can't rely on the extent to which the judiciary, being part of the state, will go to oppose the laws enforced by the state. The primary solution lies in consolidating the power of the people.
කොටසක් වන අධිකරණය කොයිතරම් දුරට ආවිද කියන එක අපට එහෙම විශ්වාස කළ හැකි දෙයක් නෙමෙයි. සංවිධානගත ජනතා බලය කරාස්ති වීම මේකට තිබෙන ප්‍රධානම පිළිතුරයි.
This is a preparation for repression, and we are making it clear that we will confront this by establishing a coalition against this oppressive action. I want to emphasize that if the government proceeds with this, despite international and local protests, they may face severe consequences in this regard. You cannot engage in politics in a country where these two bills have been enacted. For the past decade, we have been safeguarding this nation, bringing about numerous political changes. Those were by the people. Over the past 10 years, the people have demonstrated that they won't simply conform to the whims of those in power. The nation's politics belong to the people, and they are attempting to stifle it. Therefore, we strongly urge all political parties to unite in this endeavour.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa emphasizes the need to digitize the entire country to eradicate corrupt politics from the nation.
ආදායම් බදු දෙපාර්තමේන්තු රේගුව කස්ටම් එක ඇතුළු මේ රටේ ආර්ථික කේන්ද්‍රස්ථාන.
The Inland Revenue Department should digitalize all economic hubs of this country, including the customs. Digitalization reduces theft and fraud, which are unfortunately rampant. We have witnessed theft, corruption and fraud even in the distribution of medicines. This is a country as such. We saw that a fraudulent company was brought in with bogus cancer drugs, which can have fatal consequences. You end up in the cemetery with it. Why are they doing this? To earn money. To truly develop the country, we must eradicate corruption, theft and fraud. The most effective means to achieve this is through digitalization. The digital approach should be adopted across government and non-government sectors in the education and healthcare systems and everywhere in the country to promote information technology.
පද්ධතිය තුළ සෞඛ්‍ය පද්ධතිය තුළ මේ හැම තැනකම තොරතුරු තාක්ෂණය ඩිජිටලකරණය කේන්ද්‍රීය වැඩපිළිවෙලකට අපි යන්නට ඕන.
News first with the people.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to leave for China on an official visit tonight. Now, the president is set to discuss debt restructuring and participate in the conference to mark the 10th anniversary of the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, this will be his first visit to China after taking office, and he will also hold discussions with many high-ranking Chinese officials on the sidelines of the conference. Now, accordingly, State Minister Premitha Bandara Tendakon will be appointed as the Acting Minister of Defence. State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya will be appointed as the Acting Minister of Finance. State Minister Kanaka Herath will be appointed as the Acting Minister of Technology. And State Minister Anupa Pascal will be appointed as the Acting Minister of Women and Child Affairs as well. And with that, State Minister Pavitra Wanyarachi will also be appointed as the Acting Minister of Environment. We move on to some other news now. Sri Lanka has asked China to share with other creditors the terms of its recent bilateral debt deal.
Bloomberg reports that Sri Lanka is urging China to share with other creditors the terms of its recent $4.2 billion bilateral debt deal. The move is considered a step needed to help the country speed up the process of restoring its finances more than a year after it defaulted. Governor of the Central Bank Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe has said that sharing the information would ensure transparency and assure other bilateral creditors that they are getting a comparable deal. The request from Sri Lanka comes as it seeks to finalize a deal with its official creditor committee, co-led by Japan, India and the Paris Club.
Sri Lanka is considering India's request to not allow the Chinese vessel Xi'an 6 to enter the Sea of Sri Lanka.
The Hindustan Times reports, quoting unknown sources, that President Ranil Wickremesinghe is considering India's request to not allow the Chinese survey and research vessel Xi'an 6 to undertake a joint scientific research with the National Aquatic Resources Research and Development Agency in Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone between late October and November this year. According to the report, President Wickremesinghe's response to the issue, raised by India's Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar during their meeting in Colombo earlier this week, was non-committal. However, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri recently said that the Chinese vessel Xi'an 6 would arrive in Sri Lanka in late November.
A suspect who was arrested in connection with the shooting incident in Gurupaskoda Ihala Talduwa Avissawella has died.
Police spokesperson SSP Nihal Thalduwa said that the suspect had strangled a police constable using his handcuffs when he was being escorted to hand over a hidden firearm to the police. The suspect, who died, was arrested by the Police Special Task Force and handed over to the police in connection with a double murder that took place in Thalduwa on the 20th of September.
It was revealed that this suspect rode the motorcycle that helped the shooter escape the location. During the investigation carried out, he said that at the time of the shooting, he also brought a pistol which is hidden. According to that information, last night police officers went with the suspect to locate the firearm. While he was travelling in the jeep, he was handcuffed and the police officers were with the suspect. As soon as he got up, he tried to strangle a police constable using his handcuffs. The police officer was seriously injured and is currently receiving treatment at the Avissawella hospital. The suspect, who sustained injuries during the altercation with the police, was subsequently admitted to the Avissawella hospital and died today.
Day 3 of the Art Experiential Festival and launch of Artra magazine's Caricatures and Comics edition was held in Bentota today.
Today was the final day of the 3-day series of events of the Art Experiential Festival and the launch of Artra magazine's Caricatures and Comics edition. Architect and art historian Ismat Rahim, who closely worked with legendary architect Jeffrey Bawa, then toured the iconic Bentota Beach Hotel. This was followed by an art exhibition, talk and tour on the work of emerging contemporary artists. The program also featured an art talk titled Political Cartoons and Critic in the Contemporary. The panel included artist and cartoonist Gihandi Chikera, joined by Shevan Daniel. Architect C. Anjalendran also shared interesting stories about the work of Barbara Sansoni and Ina De Silva. The weekend's events were organized by Artra magazine.
The installation ceremony of the Smedley Toastmasters Club Executive Committee was held in Colombo.
The Executive Committee installation and the celebration of 20 years of the Smedley Toastmasters Club took place in Colombo on Friday under the theme It Begins With You. Gayatri Lianage was appointed as the president of the club for the year 2023-2024.
Let's give a round of applause.
The 2016 world champion for public speaking, also addressed the event.
In the last 10 years, we've produced more doctors, more engineers, more scientists, more people that study international diplomacy than the last 10,000 years of human history. In the last 10 years. More books have been written in the last 5 years about peace, democracy, leadership and conflict management than the last 50 years of publication. Still, we have more wars, more diseases, more economic problems, and 70,000 children starve to death every day. So there is a lack of correlation between the effort and the result. It's because we are not doing what we can with what we have when we can, to the best of our ability.
The keynote speech was delivered by Peter de Almeida.
So there is very little hope for future for our younger generation. What is also frightening is the fact that we have good people leaving. I come from the IT industry, I'm retired now. Thousands have left. Thousands have left. The universities don't have good lecturers anymore. The very old won't go, but the middle level, who is really the core, are leaving. Hospital, healthcare, doctors are not there. You train under a good doctor. That's all gone.
Many past and present Toastmasters of the club were present.
Ferry services between India and Sri Lanka commenced yesterday after 40 years. News First's Nagalingam Jagannatha, who travelled to India in this ferry, filed this report.
This ferry service between Sri Lanka and India is centuries old. However, the ferry service was halted for 4 decades owing to several issues. The News First team travelled from Kankasanthare to Nagapattinam in the historic ferry service. Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu, India is well known for its tourism sector. Throughout history, boats and cargo ships from many parts of the world have passed through this port. A remarkable feature of this location is that Nagapattinam gives access to all of India.
நாகப்பட்டினத்திற்கும் காங்கேசன்துறைக்கும் இடையிலான பயணிகள் படகு சேவையை வாரத்தில் 3 நாட்களுக்கு முன்னெடுப்பதற்கு தீர்மானிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கின்றது. அந்த வகையில் வாராந்தம் திங்கட்கிழமை, புதன்கிழமை மற்றும் வெள்ளிக்கிழமைகளில் காலை 7 மணிக்கு நாகப்பட்டினம் துறைமுகத்திலிருந்து இந்த பயணிகள் படகு சேவை காங்கேசன்துறையை நோக்கி முன்னெடுக்கப்படவிருக்கின்றது. அதே நாளில் மீண்டும் அந்த படகு அங்கிருந்து நாகப்பட்டினம் துறைமுகத்தை வந்தடையவிருக்கின்றது.
Divisavya, the second leg of the Divisavya program to provide much needed school books and stationery items to school children in Sri Lanka. 16th of October, Tirukkovil, Mahawaya, Hiyattakandiya.
Dai Daruwange Anagate Winuwin Divisavya, LOLC Prajasatkara Mehevara.
The official ICC Men's Cricket World Cup India 2023.
Afghanistan took on England in the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023 today. And batting first, Afghanistan were bowled out for 284 runs. However, just a short while ago, Afghanistan won the match by 69 runs, bowling out England at 215 runs when England was at 40.3 overs. Now, cricket fans can watch and listen to all the action of the World Cup via the MTV MBC networks, the official local broadcast rights holder of the tournament. The matches are being streamed live on www.siriusatv.lk as well. And that's a wrap of Primetime News. My name is Sandro Satyajit, signing off. Have a beautiful night.